Hello, girlfriends. I am here today with Dr. Staci Moore. You know what I am loving, Dr. Staci, is these practical steps that women like you are giving us to walk through life, to take that one brave step. And it is just such a joy to bring you here today. Welcome to the Being Brave Tour.
It's a pleasure to be here. Watching you and watching you on the overall big tour has been pretty phenomenal because you have a number of things going on. So, of course, we love the fact that you have taken time out of your personal life, to make this a journey that you take so many women on and that you brought some of us along. So, I'm honored to be here.
Oh, and this has been such a joy because I love things that are meaningful. So we can have all these lovely conversations, but I love these little practical tools that I will tell you have been helping me walk through some things in life. And so
Yes.
that is my hope as we come here today that as we talk about your resource from the Being Brave magazine, that a woman will go there and go, oh, this is what I needed today. This is that step I needed or that thought process. And there's a girlfriend here like you to help me walk through it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a number of those as I went through this edition myself, finding some things that I didn't even think that I knew
Yeah.
needed, but that I'm finding that I need, right? So I'll be going back several times and kind of pulling it out because they are real working sessions. You can do 12 weeks of practices with this edition. So,
Exactly. And they're like little 10-minute little resources that you can sit with your cup of coffee, give yourself a little bit of time. Just this is like your me time to
mhm.
discover something about you or to get some clarity. So let's talk a little bit about you and how you help women take their brave step, if you will. You are known as the operator, and you represent the Gen X women walking through
Mhm.
caregiving. And as I read your bio, I'm going to actually just ask you to kind of share with the women what you do and how you hope how you help them take their next brave steps. Because not only do you help Gen X women, this can apply to all women.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
give us a little description of how you walk that journey with women.
Sure. So, I'm known as the operator because I connect, and I generally say small business owners, but it's still people and mostly women to the resources and relationships that they need. And I've been doing that since 1984. As a kid in high school, absolutely. So this
Wow.
has been the purpose and path for me, and it's always something off of that. And I've just found that over the last 2 to 3 years, more and more women have found themselves displaced from their own self. And that was me included, right? You go and people start asking you questions,
Mhm.
and or you may see somebody from old times and they say, oh, I remember your favorite restaurant used to be blankety blankety blank. And you're like, yeah, it used to be. That's no longer me. And more, you start to realize that some of the things that you absolutely adored before are not what lights you up anymore. And then you also do, too, remember, though, some of those things from younger that you have not fulfilled that do still light you up. So it's about going inward and figuring out who am I again at this point, right? Who am I right now? What
Right.
do I love? What don't I? What won't I tolerate anymore? Because we've gotten lots of wisdom through a lot of experiences. And what type of things do we not get upset and huffy and puffy about anymore because they're not as big on the list? They're not a priority anymore because we're able to look past them. And so I've been working with women to figure out those things. And then if they have a business, figuring out, people are saying they're stuck in their business, but really it's they're stuck in their personal life first.
Mm.
So that cleared up, then other things seem to just fall in line.
Yeah.
And then I use AI to do a lot of that as well, just to eliminate some of the mundane tasks and to show them different strategies and resources to assist when they don't have those other hands, because we don't always have the support that we want to have. So we have to figure out how to gain it. Some of that is through asking because we didn't ask, right? We try
Mhm.
not to because we want to hold the whole load ourselves to prove we can do it. Yeah, that's not the stronger way. You'll learn if you're younger, you'll learn that's not the way.
Right.
But using AI to help out with the things that it can.
Yes. Okay, a couple key things that really just kind of stuck with me of what you just said too is that word displaced. Just yourself, you've come this road, you've been a caregiver, maybe whether it's in your business or in personal life or taking care of parents, or a spouse, kids, all those things. We
Mhm.
we ourselves get displaced a bit. I love that word, how you describe that.
Yeah.
And I love too what you talked about, what we won't tolerate or anymore, or maybe what we are available for is kind of the
Mhm.
opposite of that. What are we
Mhm.
available for? What are those pieces? And I think as I walked through this, because I actually put this into practice today, and and what it really helped me, one, that there are things that are out there that can help us,
Mhm.
help us get clarity, help us walk through some situations. And so that's what I love about this. So let's walk through this a little bit.
Sure.
And so, but first tell me what, as a woman walks through your resource here, what do you hope that she gets out of it? What do you want her to feel once she's walked through this?
You know, once you create the resource and you go back into the resource and people start to give you feedback, it evolves, it changes. So I
Mhm.
had one reason in the beginning was that more people needed to know that there is help available, and it
Uh-huh.
doesn't always look like you think it looks, though. So some of it is the affirmations, some of it is proclaiming to yourself, right? Being honest with yourself about where you
Mm,
are, and then knowing that there is some type of help and there's someone out there. I really hate that people say, and I won't, hate is a harsh word, but it's probably the right word, that people say nobody's coming to save you. And I understand the reason for it, right? It's so that you are working for yourself, you're helping yourself, and you're doing all you
mm,
can do for you. But one will say that if you have a Christian background, then that also means something different because there is help there. But there are people, I fight every day to save somebody. And
oh,
so I think that the brave part of it means, I have to choose me. And this is as what I want the women to understand. I have to choose me first every single day, no matter what the
mm,
environment or society wants me to choose. I
mm,
have to determine that. That's a decision every single day, and multiple times within the day that I have to practice and say, am I choosing me first? And that sometimes includes other people, right? It includes your family when making that decision. But end result is I'm stuck with me, no matter who else is there. And I say that because you're talking about marriages, you're talking about kids, you're talking about parents, you're talking about friends. I'm stuck with me. So am I going to be happy with the decisions that I made for
yeah,
me? You know?
yeah. Absolutely. So let's before we walk into some of the practical aspects of this resource, let's give them a little bit of idea of your life and how you kind of came to be where you are today, because you are a caregiver. And that is part of
I
your story. So
am.
tell us, give us a brief little synopsis of your story.
Yeah, I think I tried to avoid that in the resource. So again, again, it's a healing process,
Yeah.
right? We do these things in hopes to help other people, but honestly, when you look back at it and you work it yourself and
Yeah.
you hear, then you go. Because I am a caregiver. Try to speed through it. 2.5, almost 3 years ago, my mom said, I need you to come and I need to have double cataract eye surgery.
Mhm.
And it's going to take 4 weeks because they have to be 2 weeks apart.
Oh,
And so I said, okay, I can come and stay for a month. And this is where I was actually born, so Fairhope, Alabama, but I've lived in a big city all my life. So I said, fine. And I got here and I realized that my father has dementia, and he has, and she has known for, I mean, he's gone through a long spell. I think it's maybe been about 10 years now in total. Yeah, this year I think will be the 10th year. And the circumstances were, I mean, in not knowing, right? The doctors not knowing, in not seeing the signs coming up, just the behavior started to change. And then
yeah.
finally, an evaluation had to be done, and that's what they deemed that it was. And she used to tell me about little things that happen, but my mom is a very strong, independent woman. And so she generally doesn't complain about things. And when I got here to realize all that she was going through every day with the sundowners and him leaving out the house, leaving out at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and her having to call 311 to get assistance to, get him back to the house. This is somebody that's, 6'1" and at the time was 200 pounds. So, it's a little bit harder for somebody 5'5" to aggressively, bring them in. And so I just started saying, this is wild. He had diabetes as well, so having to take insulin, not wanting to take other medications, and that's all part of, the disease is their feelings about these things. And so I said, I've got to stay because initially, this is not my father; it's my stepfather, who I've had no real ties to, no emotional ties. But I've got to stay because if I want to preserve my mom, I've got to stay and help for as long as I can, or until we can figure this thing out. And, you know, um, and it has been a journey. I grew up without my father in the household, though, and I have created a relationship with him that is really unique, where he has 5 children who have never come to see him, visit him, assist with anything.
Mhm.
And so I am that representation to him. So I am
Mhm.
baby girl. And for me, it has given me the opportunity to be hugged, to be cursed at, to be told words of wisdom in his clarity moments, things that I have not experienced either. So it's
Wow.
been a great gift, yeah, in the whole thing. But I mean, my approach initially was not that. And, we're almost at 3 years now, where it was a big sacrifice. Though I have resided here, I have given up home, car, all of the things to, because there were multiple vehicles here, to be here and experience it. And it's been difficult being out of big city, but it's been rewarding too.
Yeah, to kind of change your whole life. And one of the
Yeah.
things in your resource, and I actually highlighted it because I think I'm just going to read it. What
Mhm.
brave means to you? It means surviving
Mhm.
caregiving without erasing the woman who does the caring.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so many women in this situation, I mean, we're in a situation where, yeah, a lot of women are, are taking care of their kids and their parents.
Yeah.
And how do you not lose yourself within that, because you're giving so much. And I
Hmm.
think that's one of the things as we walk through this too, that really just coming back home to yourself and giving yourself a little love, if you will. I just got chills as you were sharing your
Hmm.
story, because the gifts, you're able to see the gifts out of it
Yeah. Now, the
now.
first year and a half, I was in rebellion. I really was. You're angry. You're going through a grieving process of leaving the life that you knew,
Yep.
that you have been building. And then I, started to realize that if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I wouldn't have had the opportunity. There's no way I could have left my job and left all of the things.
Right.
As far as, like if I had been married, that would have been another obstacle. In how do you maneuver this,
Right.
so I have had been set up in a position to be able to, but it took a year and a half before I started turning the tables on the mindset and
Mhm.
making it, to my advantage and seeing the advantages of it. So I'm not
Mhm.
definitely not saying it's easy. And to see others around me too, because I've now, where we've kind of hidden it sometimes as caregivers, if we have a certain presence, we don't disturb that presence with what's going on as a caregiver. And
Yeah.
so other people don't see it. So they think that everything is hunky dory, right? And then
Right.
when you start sharing and you hear, oh, someone is starting to have to travel, 2 states over to visit their parent
Yep.
because of doctor's appointments or things that are starting to happen. Hearing about, while there are 5 kids that don't come and assist here,
Yeah.
and I'm the only one, hearing about other families that have 3 children, and there's a primary person, there's a person that may say, okay, I have funds to help with, and then somebody that's totally like, this is not going on. They don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So, walking through that and hearing the experiences to also try to take the experiences that I hear from one woman and help another woman whose scenario is a little bit closer than what
Mhm.
mine is. But I'm starting to hear the stories now. And, we all have empathy for each other
Yeah.
and in different ways, and an appreciation. I think this is one of those areas where you can't say, oh, your situation is better than mine. Because everybody has a certain struggle going on. And I think we have the appreciation to acknowledge that.
Right. Right. Yes, we have these struggles. And so a lot of times here we all have these signs like when I do an in-person event and it says I relate. So ladies, if there's anything that you can that is striking a chord with you, I relate. Your situation might be totally different. But
Mhm.
some of the feelings that you are feeling might be the same. Those struggles, some of the guilt that can accompany some of if you're caregiving or
Mhm.
in a situation, and like you
Mhm.
said, too, giving up the life that you thought you were going to have. How many women are in that position? I am. My
Yeah.
life is totally 180% different than what I thought it was going to be like. It's
Mhm.
good. It is different. And you have to,
Mhm.
but there's grief. There's these layers of grief that you have to walk
Yes.
through.
Yeah.
And, as you peel back one layer, you're like, oh dear, there's another one under there, and having to deal with that. So let's walk through this a little bit. And maybe there's a
Mhm.
girlfriend out there that is just needing to hear this today. You talk first about what brave means to you. And
Mhm.
the first, one of the first things you talk about, and you kind of mentioned this, is becoming honest about your capacity. I actually had to put this, I actually said these words early this week. I turned down an opportunity. I said, I do not have the capacity for this.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
great opportunity. It's love what you're doing. I had to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard
Yeah.
because, again, as women, we everybody, I mean, back Gen Xers, right? Wonder Woman, that was the whole idea, is that that is possible. You don't just have to be one thing, and you can be all of these things. But then we've adopted that mindset, and it also keeps us in more of our masculine energy to doing that and having that focus without allowing for the slowing down, the feeling of what's really going on, the understanding that I need rest. So even though I want to go do these extra things, or I'm going to try to take on one more client because the money would be helpful, and then that one client means you're staying up extra late, that runs into a caregiving scenario because that person is now up early
Oh,
and you are now off for the next day.
oh,
So if you don't check your own capacity, you will continue to run on low and on fumes. That means you're not operating at 100%. The person that you're caregiving for is not getting the best out of you. Your clients, if you have a business, aren't. Your family members, if they still live in the household, aren't. Just no one is getting it. So you have to check your capacity at the door. Am I able to do this or not? And at what sacrifice?
Yes,
is
there you go. And those were the kind of the first couple of points too of that, and realizing what it's taking, what it is, like you said, your sleep, your energy, these things, and being honest about it and writing that down,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know. And so then you also talk about support,
Yeah.
knowing that, allowing support in and what that might look like.
Yeah, I know that when I first got here, mom had just taken on a sitter during the day to help.
Hmm.
She is the treasurer at church. She is, like all of these other responsibilities as well. This is how she keeps going. And so she had that assistance during the day, but there was so much weight at night.
Yeah.
And then I would ask, well, what about this person or that person? Because we're back at home time, and a lot of her generation, they came back home after they retired. And the scenario is difficult for some to deal with. So there wasn't as much support from those people as I thought there was. And so then I had to say, well, what other resources can we get? I'm used to big city where there's lots of resources, but
Oh,
here in such a small town, then I have to say, well, what other resources are available? And, how do we obtain those? And then if you are not on Medicaid, and Medicare as a senior, the combination, there are less things available as well. So navigating that, what does that look like? And that's actually where I had to start using a lot of AI to find the resources, because people didn't know. It's not easy to just ask somebody. No, going on, Google is different too, because it'll give you a whole bunch of stuff. Then you have
yeah.
to spend time
Right.
researching it, which is what I didn't have.
Yeah. Right.
So AI was my shortcut to figuring out what are the resources. Oh, this is a service that kind of bridges the gap between your medical professional and da da da. And so if you bring them in, there's no additional cost. And so we were able to get that service in, which assisted, and then to find out about respite care and so many other things. But
Right.
it took the research to figure that out. But there is some support, and
Mhm.
so now I'm again spending some of that time helping people. If I do a discovery session, then it is how can we jump on and bring
Yeah.
those needs to the table so we can address a few things quickly, give you some quick wins so that you can have an aha and
Yes.
relax a little bit, and then say, oh, she used this AI tool before, so at least maybe I can use that. It
Right.
doesn't talk back to you. It's not gonna fuss at you if you're crying while you're doing it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And Dr. Stacey, I think part of the thing too is, we've got this great tool with AI, which you help people with. And sometimes we really don't know what the questions are. And I love how you gave some examples of how to even, how to kind of approach it. But of course, there's that nitty gritty of what might be the next step for, in this process, or this is where I'm at. Really how to kind of help it clear your thoughts and organize your thoughts, or organize a plan of attack,
Mhm.
any of those things. There's other things here you talk about too, about being brave. But I want to move on a little bit, because I want to give the girls, let's give them some kind of practical application. So maybe let's give an example. Maybe they are caregiving for a parent, or maybe it's even a child or a spouse. There's
Mhm.
a lot of ladies my age now that their husbands are
Yes.
entering a space where they are needing caregiving, or they're noticing something that's just not quite right.
Mhm.
Um, but I love this because you give some examples. First of all, you give a gift here in the magazine. It's a senior care planner, which
Yeah.
is really generous. And so, ladies, if you are in that space, know that there is a gift here for you.
Mhm.
And you can just go right to it. And Dr. Stacy has created this beautiful senior care planner. But you also give, and this kind of applies whether you're a caregiver or in business, or anywhere in life, actually. Maybe you're retiring, but some ways to use AI. And there's a lot of talk about, all these different things, but it's a tool,
Mhm.
and the tool that we can use. So tell us a little bit about what kind of the approach you have towards it, that you have given in this resource here.
Sure. So again, this was a thinking process. I had to think when the opportunity came with you about the planner was going to be the easy one, but
Mhm.
because I felt that so many people are leaving out the opportunity for AI to work with them,
Yep.
I had to think about what types of things were people talking to me about. So the
Mhm.
virtual assistant, and while that seems so vague, it's because you can use it for whatever you want it to. So sometimes there are important emails that we need to receive, but we have a lot of emails and junk emails at that. Using the AI within, so this is not AI separate, but the AI within your email tool inside your Gmail. Using a tool like that to say, and there are ways, and of course I go over these type of
Yeah.
things in sessions though, but to be able to weed out or to find keywords or lead words that if this name comes up, put this in a separate section. So if Dr. Morrison is, in the email, then make sure that it goes into this category. So I know every day when I look at this folder, like this may be the medical folder, but now that email has been sorted out. I don't miss it. It may be timely. And as we get to talk about, the US Post Office now changing the postmark, and when that is effective, that affects us on this side of caregiving when documents have to be signed and postmarked by a certain time. And before it was just like, okay, when it gets to the post office, then that's when it gets stamped. So they know if they come in the next morning, it's still stamped the day before, though, because it was received then. Now, as soon as it starts getting processed. So the same thing with emails. If you're waiting for an email approval for a document, a court date, for a prescription approval, something of that nature, you want it pulled out. So just using AI in that manner, I've got, and I'm gonna switch this up. Right, is I'm gonna make them go to the article to see the business structured things because that is what I brought in over on inside of that tool.
Yeah.
But let's talk about another one for caregiver is nutrition and recipes and meals, right? Because what you learn, two things about this is that as you deal with this person, there may be certain things that they no longer can eat. If you find out they're diabetic also, or they have high blood pressure also, or high cholesterol
Mhm.
also, those are restrictions. But if you have been carrying, let's say it is the spouse, or it's a parent that has been eating a certain way for a long time, they're going to be accustomed to that, but you know that you have to modify the diet if you want to prolong their life and to keep them healthier. So
Mhm.
how do you do that? You can take a typical recipe, if it's a family recipe, and put it into the AI and give it the restrictions. Yeah, my father
Wow.
loves, let's say it's corned beef and cabbage, da 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 da, and we normally use butter, and I use salt, and I use this, and you start listing all these seasonings, right? And but you say that they have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and they're diabetic. What are
Mhm.
ways that I can modify this recipe so that it still tastes the same, but that it's giving more nutritious value to it? And it will make suggestions. You can have it do 2 or 3. You can ask for it to take a step out. Let's just do cover the cholesterol first. How can I reduce that? And then also AI, you can really trip out. If you use Instacart, there's an Instacart plugin for ChatGPT where you can actually plug it into it and say, okay, now I've got the items that I need for this dinner. What are all of the ingredients I need? It'll show
Wow.
you the ingredients. You can check off and say, okay, I have these. I still need to order these. And now Instacart can then connect to it and you
Wow.
order. Um, but this is how I actually got my stepfather from going from insulin daily to now insulin as needed. It's
Oh
because
my
we
goodness.
modified his diet over time. My mom is a Southern cooker. That is her love language too. So we had to easily and gradually go from whole milk to 2%, go from this to that.
Wow.
All of those things, which were the extra love taps she used to put on it. But
Yeah.
figuring out how to do that, and we've used AI to do that.
Wow. AI for your everyday caregiving of yourself as well. I mean, so I've already learned a
Mhm.
couple different things. I had no idea there was like AI within our email systems, and that we could be using that. So I have to explore that one. But one of the things that you talked about, and you talk about how to use AI, use it as your virtual assistant. Say you're my virtual assistant, or you're my brainstorming partner, or my strategist, or my confidence coach.
Yeah.
I put in there today, because I kind of walked through this, and girls, if you don't have the magazine right in front of you, Dr. Staci also gives you like an example of how to word it, not just, to say, I like this. You're my mindset coach. I'm feeling whatever emotion, maybe overwhelmed. Help me reframe it with affirmations and give me a general prompt to process it. Okay, I use that when I said, you are my life coach. And here's my situation. Give me one practical step that I can do today. And so it actually gave me all, it broke it down, the situation, and it said, you are this and not that. And it just kind of cleared my head, and it gave me one practical step. And it was a sigh of relief. And, yes, we have our actual life coaches, and our, those people, and those are, definitely people we need to still be in contact with if we're walking through something. But just to kind of get a little boost or something. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder, what if they were my social media manager? My marketing team, what would that look like? And so I love these practical examples that you actually walk us through.
Yeah, and I let you do that, because that's why I said there are a number of them in there, and that's a resource by itself, just as you said, with the prompts and the examples in it versus just what you can use it for. But they're going to have to grab the resource in order to see and hear all the stuff that's in there.
Absolutely, girls, and we'll put the links in below. But we have we have Ashley who is watching us. Say hello, Ashley. Good to see you. Yeah, ladies, as we are recording, we are also live, so we have some little audience input as we talk here. We have some people saying hello. Nicole, she's saying hello as well, and we've got a couple other folks. So in this resource too, I mean, this is chock full of information, but the end with a B.R.A.V.E. code. And one of the things that I highlighted, there's several. It says, build systems that sustain me, rise into aligned leadership. The one that I underlined that really kind of was talking to me today is act from truth, not survival.
Yeah, because it'll cause you to think about, am I operating from my truth? Just to say it, because if you say it and you want to mean it, then you're gonna pause and you say, am I honoring me? Am I honoring what I need? And it's today or in this hour. And that's why, again, this is not something that I had before. This is something that I created, for your audience out of my own beliefs. And then I had to say, oh gosh, this is something I need to follow myself. Because am I doing this? And if I'm doing it in the morning or I'm doing it once a week, that's cool if it's on the mirror. But honestly, in that one in particular, I have to ask myself when I start feeling off, unbalanced, or like this isn't good, this doesn't feel good, then I have to ask myself, am I honoring what I need? And then to stop shrinking or pushing past the signals that my body and spirit send, because I used to do that very well. Yeah. As a leader in management, that was what we were called to do by the organization, by the business, by the corporation. But now, since I am managing myself again, then I can say, am I honoring that? Did I feel a certain way? And did I just ignore it? Did I blow past it? I need to readdress that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that it's saying for me too is, because sometimes the truth can have different meanings. So I am now sometimes replacing that word for myself to go to the facts, because then it keeps me grounded. What are the actual facts that person walked out a door, or this happened? And then that grounds me, and it actually gives me reason to pause.
Yes.
To actually from this situation and see what it really is.
Yes. She's the key at that, So yes, she speaks a lot about that. And that's what I've had to do, and that's the only part that I really got on the corporate side is being able to do that. But it's
Yeah.
back to, it was about what was best for the consumer or the company, but it was not about me still.
Yeah.
It wasn't about me. So this is allowing me to do that. I mean, just to be part of the publication caused a lot of reflection. What, man, what resource? No, really, what resource am I going to put in there? I want it to be a fave from, people that see it to refer. I want it to be useful, but I also want it to be something that I then practice. And so it
Right.
gave me my own tool to be able
Yes.
to use. So
Yeah, and as we close out, I'm going to read the other two that are on this B.R.A.V.E. code as well. Value my brilliance and my bandwidth, and evolve beyond doing everything alone.
mm-hmm,
And I love
mm-hmm,
that word that you used, evolve.
mm-hmm.
Evolve
Yeah,
beyond that, because like you said, we tend to think that we have to do it all on our own, but ladies, we are here for you. Dr. Staci is here for you. My hope is that you will download this free magazine. It's a free subscription. It is chock full of information. I mean, her pages here alone are several different times that you can sit with your coffee and just have some time for yourself and walk through this B.R.A.V.E. code and what does it mean for you. And Dr. Staci is here for you. She's got that gift. Dr. Staci, tell the ladies also how they can connect with you.
sure. So you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn as Dr. Staci, Staci Moore, Moore. And then on the other social media platforms, I am the operator. So the THEOPER number 8TOR. So that's where you can find me. And so if you're here on Facebook seeing this or any other platforms, just leave a comment here also if you'd like for me to respond or Karen to respond, and we'll get you connected to whatever you need.
Yes. So what would you like? What's one word of wisdom or hope, or what would you like to leave the ladies with today as we close out?
I think I'll take it back to the beginning. While you are to do all that you can do for you to survive, never think that no one is coming to save you.
All right, ladies, we will leave it on that. And we are here for you. Come join us as we have continued conversations with our contributors of the magazine, these women who are coming beside us, coming to help you, to support you in your walk and your brave journey. So, ladies, we'll see you next time.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Staci.